Hey everybody, Zeke back with some more Path of Exile for you guys. So we pumped the brakes on the Uber Elder thing. I didn't think about TFT at first, so I was just buying these in bulk as I found them on the trade site. Turns out nobody really has Fragments of Knowledge or Shape right now that doesn't want obscene amounts of money for them. These are about 90 and 95C respectively at the moment, I think. Let me just make sure on that. Nope, had it backwards. This one's 90, this one's 95. And the fragment sets for Uber Shaper are only about 45 to 50 C a piece, so I figured what I would go ahead and do is just farm out the 100 Uber Shapers, since I'd planned to do that video at some point anyway, and we'll do some profit analysis on that at the end, but we're just going to keep the fragments that drop in here to help us fund this one, and we'll just keep it fair by giving them a reasonable price in our analysis later. But yeah, so we're going to go ahead and just jump right into doing 100 Uber Shapers. Hopefully we get a couple of Sublime Visions to fund the whole thing. That'll be pretty cool, but yeah, I'll see you guys in a minute. Hey guys, we're back. So we did our 100 Uber Shapers. It's the next day. Of our expected 4 Sublime Visions, we actually only dropped 2. So when I said a couple of them, I guess the game took it literally. We got 8 out of the expected 10 Orbs of Dominance. We also bricked 3 instances, not due to lack of skill, more just due to how buggy this Uber Pinnacle fight is. I'd say it's probably the second easiest of all the Ubers, but it's also the most obnoxious, and I'll show why shortly. But man, there are just a ton of things in this instance that are just buggy and unoptimized. Ooh. So we'll go ahead and do this trade, even though I don't like to trade whenever we're recording, just so I can show you what's about to happen here. I ended up picking up all the gloves and just figured I would go ahead and just throw Vol Orbs at them, and I actually hit a few that were decent. I sold a pair for 50C a second ago. This +1 Frenzy pair, I think this is what this is worth 70. So we're not going to count this in our profits at the end because it's pretty volatile. We're just going to stick to this stuff up here. But just know that some of this stuff, like this roll on our Dying Sun's 2 Divines, this one's 1. We got an Influenced Ring that's about 85. I've already sold a couple, and we got several Imbued Wands. These bases are 10C each. I think I stuffed some more Dying Sun somewhere. One just sold out of here. So there is some more room for money. This Starforge is about 100C, even though nobody's really playing Melee right now. So interesting stuff. So before we go jumping into any clips of how awful this fight is, let's just quickly go over how much we made and how much we expected to make. Kind of cleaned up a spreadsheet instead of using a notepad. These are the drops that you would expect to get in here. Like, these are what we're farming for, essentially. Maybe not the Elder Slayer invitation, but whatever. It's 70C. Forgive me. Like I said, we got 49 of these. The price has actually dropped on fragments. Earlier in the video, we said 95 and 90. Now it's 90 and 85. But even still, we dropped 49 and 48, so you can see our chaos output here. 17 feared at 5C apiece. 8 orbs of dominance. They're a divine, so we just went ahead and did our chaos to divine control over here. And the same thing for the sublime visions. They've dropped to 14 apiece. So it's just a formula, 14 times the chaos control. This is going to be the total profit from all those. So we spent 4,500 chaos, which is, what, 22 and a half divines to do this. We profited 11,000 chaos, which ended up being 56.7 divines, which is pretty awesome. You got to consider that these are 5-minute runs because of how many funky phases they are, so it actually doesn't end up being that impressive. It's not much better than just juice mapping. It might even be worse in some cases. But yeah, so we got 56 and a half divines. Pretty good. If we had dropped the 4 Sublime Visions that we expect to drop, it would have pushed our profits up to 86 and a half divines, and that would have been over 10 divines per hour. But once again, it's roughly a 4% drop rate, so I mean, you could go this whole thing and only get 1 or 2. You could end up getting 8 or 9. I was on the track to get 8 if my average stayed the way it was, but then, of course, we just got snake bit for a while. But yeah, it's not too bad. Over the course of 8 hours, we made about just shy of 7 divines per hour if we just include this stuff. As you've seen in here, we did get a few more things that jacked that up. I just didn't want to add that in since a lot of people are pretty picky about how we do these profit analysis. But yeah, so we did pretty well. Now, the only thing really left to talk about is if you're not running a build that is designed to phase Shaper very quickly, to either skip those ball phases or, you know, just kill it fast enough to not have to deal with the fuss, I don't recommend doing this. Mostly because even though I'm pretty good at the mechanics, and over the course of 100 kills, you get pretty good at the mechanics, I still found myself from start to finish burning 2 to 3 portals at least every run, just due to invisible balls, invisible nonsense. So we'll go ahead and show those clips here, but yeah, just don't bother with this, I would say, unless you just really like Shaper, unless you've got a build that's really good at phasing him fast and ignoring all of his nonsense. So here we go.
Behold the face of your unfaith. Failure. Failure. Ambivalence. Death. Failure. Ambivalence.
That's going to do it for the video, guys. Thank you so much for watching. Next on the list is going to be Uber Elder. I think it's going to be far more profitable than Shaper was, just because the Shaper in there can actually drop the Sublime Visions, which is more or less the reason we would farm Shaper anyway, beyond just the Fragment Sustain. So look forward to that video. We're about halfway done collecting the things necessary for it, and I'll see you guys in the next video. Thank you so much for your time.